It's the spooky season, and you know what that means. It's time to find a manga that fits the mood. So let's see here. No, didn't finish reading in time. Honestly, I'm debating on covering it at this point. Why not? It's relatively short, and it will be a nice little review while I deal with life. Yeah, let's call it that. Introducing Kaya-chan Isn't Scary, a manga that has a premise that is simple as you can get. But before I go further on, please like and subscribe to this video, as subscribing does a huge help on supporting this channel. With that out of the way, let's start with... They say the manga was created by Taro Yuri, who released the manga on Shishuka's Korage Bunch manga website on April 1st, 2022, publishing 5 volumes with 34 chapters released in English. Yeah, that's about it. I tried to see if there's any more background info on how this manga was made, but so far I came up with nothing. But if anyone finds more information beyond what I said, please let me know in the comments below. I'm curious about this. As I commented earlier in the beginning of the video, Kaya-chan Isn't Scary has a simple premise, and it starts in the first chapter when we get introduced to Kaya Sato, the kindergartner who's often labeled as a problem child, as she's aggressive towards her peers, including shoving them off the swings. To combat this, they assigned a teacher to keep an eye on her, but then that teacher was so stressed out that they quit, so a new teacher took their place. Chie Hasumi, our everyday resident that's gonna get caught up in these spooky shenanigans. And although she only needs to keep an eye out on one kid, anyone who had or has dealt with young kids before will tell you that even looking after one kid is a hassle all on its own. While Chie is distracted by Kaya, one of the kids took the opportunity to play on the swing that Kaya was guarding after. And the tone quickly shifts from a kid enjoying themselves to fearing for their life, as an invisible force keeps pushing the swing despite the kid's pleas to stop. But someone does come to stop, and it's Kaya. The kid immediately assumes it was Kaya that almost killed him, but it's quickly shown that it wasn't a person that pushed the swing, but a specter. A specter whose purpose is to wait for children to get on swings, then shove them off to their death, with Kaya being their next victim. But Kaya isn't an ordinary kid. In fact, the narrator describes them as the strongest psychic, as she punches the specter so hard that they disintegrate. It does help explain why Kaya is so aggressive with the swings, but since normal people can't see specters, the kid still thinks Kaya is scary and runs off. But someone else did, and well, you know, it's Chie, who saw the whole thing and is pretty spooked. So yeah, simple premise. Psychic child beats up ghosts to protect her classmates. I'll go over some of my favorite chapters in the manga later on, and of course, minor spoilers ahead. For starters, I admire the art style of this manga. It combines the simplistic cute designs of the characters and the distorted realistic designs of the ghosts to create something unsettling. It's like Spooky's jump scare mansion, where the further you read into the chapter, the more disturbing the situation becomes until the monster finally reveals itself. Also, the use of shading and paint-like splatters on the ghosts, especially when Kaya is exorcising them and they dissipate into small particles. Mwah! Nice touch. Speaking of Kaya, it's time I get to her and the rest of the characters. While she isn't the most complex, with her being maybe 5 or 6 years old, her desire to get rid of specters despite her classmates thinking she's scary and her teachers not believing her, thinking she's coming out with childish excuses, is pretty admirable, especially considering her age. Plus, the author does sprinkle in some mystery elements involving her parents, specifically her mother Mirai, as early as chapter 4, Kaya sees her as a fearsome enemy that she can't handle. My initial thoughts were she was abused in some way, as children will often view the parent who abuses them as monsters. But in a later chapter, when Chie comes to Kaya's house for a home visit, it's revealed that Mirai is pregnant. And while Mirai isn't possessed by any spirit, the baby inside her is, and is using Mirai's body as a shield. So even if Kaya wanted to exorcise the spirit, she can't, or else she'll risk the harm of her mother and future sibling. Plus, I thought it was interesting to see the author incorporate the jealous older sibling trope. But Kaya having a potential Rosemary's Baby situation is one of the few things Kaya has going on, as the mystery involving her mother's lineage goes even further. As it's explained, Kaya comes from a long line of psychics, and along with Chie, goes to meet her grandmother, who didn't even know Kaya existed, and the second she sees her, she flips out and claims she did something wrong while screaming about someone named Nana. Kaya doesn't even react to this. In fact, the only thing she does in this scene is give her best Anya impression and pass out. However, we do eventually find out who Nana is, and she's Mirai's older sister, who also didn't know Kaya existed and explained how complicated their family is. Which isn't surprising, but it does make me think about some of the actions Mirai needed to take to make sure Kaya is non-existent to her family, because something is clearly going on with Kaya. Moving on from her, Chia is Kaya's confidant and one of the few people who believe Kaya about ghosts. She does her best to help Kaya out whenever she can and covers for her whenever she gets into trouble. Plus, she embodies what a teacher should be, which is to believe, support, and protect their students. And after spending time with Kaya throughout the manga, despite receiving several warnings from others about her and how she might be possessed by a devil, Chie can see the good in Kaya and believes at the end of the day, she's still a kid. A kid who has the same behaviors and can fall into the same trappings as any other kid her age. And the last character I wanted to mention is Mob Osamu, who probably has one of the worst introductions I have ever seen. I know he's supposed to be a fat bastard archetype, but it doesn't make his introduction any better. He initially was perceived as a suspect for the numerous lost child cases that happened recently in Chapter 5, and while the true culprit was of course a ghost, he really didn't help his case by creeping out of the bushes like a predator. Hilariously, this results in Chie suplexing Mob to the ground, and luckily Mob redeems himself past this point by saving Kaya from the same ghost that was kidnapping kids, and revealing his tragic backstory to Chie on why he wanted to meet Kaya, as she previously saved him in the past. Yes, even as a freaking baby, the girl was expelling spirits like it was nothing. He was actually the one who investigated Kaya's family history and came up with the meeting with the grandmother and house visit. So even though he doesn't have strong psychic powers and can come across as a creep, he's alright in my book. So time for the $1,000,000 question. Is this manga scary or not? Well, it depends on the person. Some might read this and come out of it stone-faced, while some might get spooked by several chapters. Personally, I feel like I'm in the middle. While I was more impressed by the ghost designs than unnerved, I'll admit some of these chapters did caught me off guard. For example, Chapter 7 involves Kaya getting acquainted with a boy who can see the ghost in front of her, and figures stay hunted down. It eventually leads them to a wall outlet. Oh no. And the boy suggests they reach in with a pair of scissors, but thankfully Kaya doesn't do the action in time due to Chie calling out her name, and the boy turns out to be a ghost in disguise. Kaya amends her mistake by exorcising the ghost, but all I can think about now are the implications of what would happen if it wasn't Kaya, and the next chapter isn't any better. It does have the same setup as the previous chapter where a kid sees the same ghost as Kaya, except this time it's a real kid named Saku, and at first it does seem to set up a budding relationship between the two because they can see ghosts, only to get proven wrong when Saku couldn't see the ghost right in front of her and Kaya has to exorcise it. So if Saku couldn't see the ghost in front of her, how is she able to see the other ghosts? Well, let's just say that everyone can see the ghosts hanging around, and it's a good thing that the kids will remember it as a ghost. On the bright side, Saku and Kaya still keep their friendship, and each chapter has a different type of ending. Some are goosebumps-like, some are bittersweet, and some progress the main story, which is pretty standard. Overall, Kaya-chan Isn't Scary is a surprisingly well-done horror manga starring a psychic kindergartner, and if you want something to read short in this Halloween season, I recommend this manga. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for more of my manga-related content. I hope you have a decent day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!